Have you ever scrolled past a headline or seen some statistic and just had that feeling like, wait a second, is that really the whole story? Well, what if you had the power to look past the surface, to actually use data to find real answers to huge questions? That power has a name, and we're about to dive into what it is.
So let's kick things off with a real-world puzzle, one you've definitely heard about and one that, directly impacts your future career and your wallet.
We see this everywhere, right? It's stated as a simple fact. But as someone who's about to become a serious analyst, your job is to ask that next question. Is a simple average really telling us everything we need to know, or is there something way more complex happening just beneath the surface? Okay, so here we're looking at some raw data from a sample of over 3,000 young workers. And yeah, on the surface, the picture seems pretty clear. The average hourly wage for men is $6.31, and for women, it's $5.15. So that leaves a raw gap of $1.17 an hour. Now, if we just stopped right here, we'd have an answer, sure, but it wouldn't be a very good one. To really, truly understand what's going on, we're going to need a secret weapon. And that secret weapon has a name. Now, it might sound a little intimidating at first, but trust me, it's really just a powerful tool for getting to the truth. It's called Econometrics. So, what the heck is Econometrics? Honestly, it's how we make data tell its story. It is the toolbox that lets us move beyond those simple averages to understand relationships, test out ideas, and even predict what might happen next. Think of it less like some abstract theory and more like a tool for confident, data-backed decision-making. And that's really the whole point. This isn't about memorizing a bunch of formulas. As it says right there in the course syllabus, the goal is to take these tools and immediately start applying them to the world around you, to the questions you actually care about. Okay, so what does applying the tools actually look like? Come on, let's take a quick peek at the journey you'd take to investigate a question just like the one we started with. See, it's a clear, logical process. You start with a question you're curious about, you gather up your data, and then you use these powerful techniques like regression analysis and hypothesis testing to uncover what's really going on. And that final step, interpretation, that's where the magic happens. That's when you translate the numbers into a meaningful story.
Now, inside this toolbox, there's one concept that is it's absolutely fundamental. It's kind of the secret ingredient that lets us untangle these really complex situations where a million things are all happening at once. It's a Latin phrase, ceteris paribus. Ceteris paribus, it literally just means all other things being equal. Think of it like a sound mixing board, You can pull all the levers down to zero except for one, just so you can hear its unique contribution. In econometrics, we use it to ask questions like, what is the effect of just gender if we hold everything else, like education and experience, totally constant? Okay, so let's pick our tools back up and get back to our original puzzle. We've got the raw data, and now we have our key principle, ceteris paribus. It's time to see what happens when we put them together. This really is the million-dollar question, isn't it? We know that in the real world, people have different levels of education and years of experience. So what happens to that $1.17 gap if we could compare a man and a woman with the exact same schooling and the exact same work experience?
And boom, here it is. This is our aha moment. When we apply regression analysis to control for education and experience, the measured gap doesn't shrink. It actually grows to $1.34. This is a perfect example of how looking deeper can completely change the story.
This table right here shows us exactly how the model isolates each factor. That $1.34 gap is the effect that's attributed just to being male, holding education and experience constant. And we can also see that each extra year of school adds about 64 cents to the wage, ceteris paribus. See? This is how we untangle a complicated story. So the big takeaway here is that reality is messy. A simple average told us one story, but a more sophisticated analysis revealed something much deeper and, honestly, a lot more troubling. Econometrics won't always give you the answer you expect, but it will get you closer to the truth. And that power, the power to uncover the truer story, that's exactly what you're here to build. It's all about transforming from someone who just consumes information to someone who can analyze it, question it, and create it.
So don't even think of these as just points on a syllabus. Think of them as your new superpowers. You're going to learn to handle real data, conduct your own research, and explain complicated stuff in a way that's simple and clear. These are the skills that are going to power your senior thesis and launch your career.
So we've seen how these tools can completely reframe a huge national conversation. The only question left is, once you have these skills, what questions are you going to ask? What injustices will you uncover? What story will you make the data tell?